All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the official Hammer Time podcast. As always, I am your host, Cade, aka some of you may know me as Cadlocks over on social media platforms, but my first name legally is Cade.
Okay.
And I am here with, I answered to both, I guess. Unless if you're my mother and you call me by my actual first name, which I'm not saying on this podcast. Thanks, Dylan. I'm here today with our usual. I don't know. I got to keep doing the intros. We already know the people. For all the new people though that are joining, welcome. We've had a couple of I don't want to say a couple. We've had a lot of new interaction throughout the last, I'd say just like last few months in general. So a lot of people might not really know that we do the podcast, but we've introduced a ton of new ways to basically interact with the community that we have built, and that is obviously part of our Discord and newly introduced Substack, which I'll obviously leave links down for everybody down there. But long story short, we're going to be writing articles. We're going to be writing out our picks now, and we'll have more details on that to follow. Obviously, stuff has already dropped. If you're in the Discord, if you're on Twitter, you've already seen it, so I don't really have to explain it. But long story short, yes, we are posting our picks to Substack still for free, just written out analysis-wise, and just making it more in-depth, making it more intimate to you guys. That way you're not just blindly following anymore, even though you have for the last 2 years. But figured might as well just make a change for the new year, and so far it's worked out great. I mean, everybody loves it so far from what I've heard, and it's been awesome to see that amount of support and feedback so fast on just like a few hours of launch. So yeah, there's that. And then, like I said, if you are listening, be sure to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy. As always, leave some comments for some feedback as well of what you guys want to hear going forward, and any games that you guys want to break down specifically, any topics, ideas, suggestions, literally anything. Whether we suck, whether we're good, I want to hear it. I want to know, because I'm a big feedback guy. So, nonetheless, I'm here with Mr. Bowl Mania himself, and we're both on a heater right now in bowl season, but he just decided to one-up me out of nowhere, I think yesterday. And yeah, we're both up astronomically, and then he comes in, it's like, nah, sit down.
I've been pretty good.
What are the numbers?
40, 20, and 1, 65% win rate at the moment. On bowl games, specifically. And then had a pretty good NFL weekend as well, but we don't talk about that here, so.
Yeah. Overall as a group, I think we've done really well within bowl games and CFP in general, actually, which is a lot of, I don't even really know like why. I don't know if it's just the way the market's been reacting. I don't know if that's just because we might have gotten lucky on a couple. A lot of them have honestly just been really sharp. I just want to call it out how it is, honestly. You have like half of the dogs that we just had pretty much just won outright, and then a couple of bad reads on my end here and there. Yeah, it is what it is. So we move. Nonetheless, we're still profitable. We're up about 7 units, I think, in bowl season. Jake's up about 10. Dylan is also profitable as well. So, I mean, all the boys are profitable. We're rolling. We're staying hot. And then we got more CFP semis, which is what we are going to go over today. And then after that, to follow, we have college basketball. We made the announcement yesterday. College basketball is coming to the podcast, mainly once college football kind of goes to a halt. But first, obviously, we are a college football-based podcast. So until then, we are going to be centered still around that, but still do college basketball on the side, as well as it's just not our main focus. We're still going to hit on a little bit of it, just to give you guys something, because it's content, it's there, and there might not be as much college football to talk about after these last couple of weeks. So needed something there besides the recruiting and all the coaching news. So nonetheless, semifinals. We have the Thursday night game. We have a Friday night game. First one is Miami and Ole Miss, and I will hand the reins over to you.
Yeah, here we go. We only have 3 games left in the college football season. Very, very fun year, but also really sad when we get to this point. I think that this first matchup, which Miami Ole Miss on Thursday, January 8th, the 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern in Glendale, Arizona. Both these matchups are really good. This one might interest me the most because I think there's a ton of questions that these teams have answered over and over again, but you have to keep asking, especially with this individual matchup. Biggest questions I have for this game is, can Miami run on early downs with Fletcher to establish the play action pass and let Shannon Dawson get creative like in the Ohio State game? Can Trinidad Chambliss and the crew that he's got with him continue to not allow sacks or really pressure at all to get to him? And then Ole Miss getting chunk yardage on this Miami defense. Miami has completely stopped two pretty high-profile offenses this playoff run so far. Texas A&M, explosive, inconsistent, but really explosive, got a good quarterback. Shut him down. Ohio State, we thought was the one or the second best team in the country. Elite weapons on the outside, a good quarterback, a pretty decent run game. Shut down. I'm going to go out on a limb, though, and say I think this is the best quarterback that they'll play. I think Trinidad Chambliss in college football is the best quarterback right now. The way he's playing, how he's playing, he is always on time. He knows where to go with the football. He's staying ahead of the chains. In the Georgia game, he had a couple throws, though, that were a bit behind or, weren't completely on target. Can Miami take advantage of that? And also, in the last game, Georgia seemed completely okay with allowing 6-yard slants, 6-yard curls, 6-yard outs. They seemed like they wanted to not give up the explosive and let everything stay, in front of them. I'm curious if Miami's more aggressive in this game because of how good their defense is, and they're going to have to tackle well and contain Trinidad in the red zone. Trinidad's been a monster in the red zone this year. The other side of the ball, Ole Miss is top 50 in yards before contact and yards after contact. So as good as Mark Fletcher's been the last two games, I'm going to assume Pete Golding has some answers for that and can kind of limit that, which comes to what we've said for the past, 6, 7, 8 weeks of Miami football, comes down to Carson Beck again. Miami is first in pressure rate allowed and seventh in sack EPA. Their offensive line is elite. Ole Miss is 39th and 94th. Ole Miss is going to have to somehow get to Carson Beck. If you're going to let Carson Beck sit there all day, he's going to be a great quarterback. Most quarterbacks will be. And Georgia was able to gash Ole Miss with some explosive runs with Nate Frazier last week. I'm curious if that can happen with Fletcher. With how I'm seeing this game, with everything that I've looked at so far, I think Miami's going to win, and I think Miami's going to cover. As much as I like this Ole Miss team, I just trust this defense and this run game to control the clock. I just think that they are so good at what they do, and they know what they can and cannot do. I kind of want to play the over live because I feel like there could be some second half points in this game. But I think my official play will be either a first quarter under or first half under. Miami's been dominant in first halves from a defensive perspective. They've shut everybody down. I think they're allowing 5 points per first half, which is insane. So if they limit Ole Miss to one touchdown, I don't see Miami, with how they play offense, getting more than maybe 14 to 20 points. So I definitely think a first half or a first quarter is probably a good idea, just with how Miami plays offense and what their defense can do.
Yeah, I agree with everything. I'll toot my horn for these two first off. I have futures in both of these games that are still active. No, I'm not hedging because I only put like $20 to $25 on each of them because I honestly didn't think I would get this far to begin with. Nonetheless, I have Miami at 27 to 1 to win the Natty, and then I have Oregon at 15 to 1 to win the Natty. Like I said, both are like 20 to 25, so I'm not worried about a hedge here, honestly. It's just mainly, it was kind of just for fun at first, but here we are. I did play the under in this game. I have the under at the flat 52, just at the key. for minus 110 there. I only put the half unit on there because I'm planning on taking Miami live. What it's at right now, I'm seeing a lot of 180s, 160s on the board. I would ideally want below a 150. If I can touch 140s area, I think that's when I can buy in personally. Not saying that I wouldn't buy the 3.5 right now, but it's not on my to-do list, I guess, in terms of, I think this is, it very well could be a tight game, just knowing the two defenses. I just don't know if I'm necessarily confident in Miami's offense to run away with this one in case that they have to keep up with Ole Miss's offense. Because at this point, from the way Trinidad is playing, if he takes control of this game, that defense is a secondary role, the way that this guy is playing right now. If he takes over this game, this is an immediate shootout and we're in trouble. Like, that's basically all that comes down to. My trust just goes into Miami's defense more. That's pretty much all that it takes there. But I mean, this is already the best season that Ole Miss has ever had, though. You know what I mean? I mean, like, congratulations, obviously. That one win with Golding and that first Golding area win is going to be remembered forever. It was one of the best games that I've ever watched in the playoff. And I mean, yeah, it just proves if Trinidad gets his eligibility figured out for next year, I'm all in again. But
I feel pretty good. He's
Miami's just, I would say, I think he is. I just don't know the extent of it, but I think we all assumed that it was. But yeah, Ole Miss is going to play quick. They're going to play quick. They're going to throw quick. They're going to keep rhythm and pace very, very high. But Miami had the clock control in their game for over 30 minutes against Ohio State. And I mean, A&M, they slowed things down. And it's a hard game to cap in terms of a side. That's why I felt so safe about a total. But that's why I'm going to look for them live. They're just going to have to deal with a dominant offensive front they didn't face A&M. You know what I mean? Like, I think Miami just takes over the second half personally, and that's what takes the cake in this game. So I have it pretty close. I'm not there yet in terms of a side yet until probably the first quarter, roughly.
I think first half time of possession will be big on who you play live. If Ole Miss is keeping it 50-50, don't hate an Ole Miss live play. But if it's Miami kind of controlling clock, but they're kicking field goals and stuff, I think the wear down is definitely there. But yeah, agree with the under play. I think it's hard to take a over in a Miami game. But we will move on to the second semifinal, which is Friday, the 9th, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern prime time. This is in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. I think that's what it's called.
I think so.
This is a rematch, Oregon versus Indiana. Line is currently Indiana minus 3.5. Over under is 46.5. So a lower total. This is just when we talked about those vintage Alabama Georgia games and how much NFL talent was on both sides of the ball for both those teams, I feel the same way about this matchup. And that is crazy to say about an Indiana and Oregon game, but I think it's true. There are elite talents all over the field for both of these teams. And we're going to start right here with the elite QBs that could go 1-2 in the NFL draft coming up this year, and that's Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore. I think this game is must-see, and I personally think it's a pretty simple breakdown here. We've already seen this matchup occur. We've already seen kind of what's happened. Both these teams are going to make adjustments to what each one did. What was that, 3 months ago? So there are a couple of things that I'm curious about. Mendoza used his legs a ton in the Alabama game. I felt like he was running the ball 2 or 3 times a possession. I don't know what the actual statistic is, but I felt like even if it was designed or even if it was off scrambles, I felt like Mendoza moved around a lot and did it pretty well. Oregon is 136th in QB designed run EPA, and Indiana is 7th. So is that a trend that Indiana kind of figures out there and tries to get Mendoza out in space? I know he's not quick, but he's shifty. He's able to move well. and he slides at the right times. So I'm curious if that may be in the game plan. And then another interesting stat about Oregon's defense is they have an elite pressure rate, top 10 in the country, but they're 88th in sack EPA. So they're getting pressure, but they're not getting the quarterback down. Does that affect Mendoza? Does he get happy feet? Does he throw early? Does he look down at the pressure? Or is he standing strong in the pocket and delivering those comebacks to Surratt or those seams up the middle to Cooper? I think those are big questions. And then on the other side of the ball, it's just great on great. Indiana is Indiana's the number one run defense in the country. Oregon's the number 3 run offense. I think that's pretty much the breakdown on that side. If Oregon can run the ball decently, then Dante Moore is going to have a good game. If Dante Moore is in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 a lot, you're not getting first downs against Indiana's defense. It's just not going to happen. My cap on this is pretty simple. I took both these teams to win the Natty. I predicted that Indiana-Oregon would be the semifinal, so I personally don't have to have a play in this game if I didn't want to, but that's not why we're here. I think my official, 100% gonna play is the over. I think these QBs are good enough to find pockets of greatness against these defenses. I think Cignetti's a great play caller, and I think Will Stein is on the other side as well. It's why Will Stein's going to be a head coach in the SEC. So I think they're going to get their points. I mean, I'm asking for 27-24. I think we can get there with these two teams, even with their great defenses. However, if you're asking me to pick a side in this game, I am not going to pick against Curt Cignetti right now. He's got blood everywhere. Blood's everywhere. He wants everyone to die. And I mean, he just went and murdered. I mean, the run that they're on, murdering Alabama, I mean, playing very well against Ohio State and just straight up beating them, beat Oregon, beat Penn State. I mean, there's no blemish beat Iowa. There's no blemish on this schedule. And so, yes, beating a team twice is hard, especially a really good team. I 100% agree with that. But they did it on the road, and I think that accounts for something. And I think people are just going to continue to discredit and look over Indiana. They are the best team in the country. And I'm not saying that they're going to win this game. I am going to say that, but I'm not saying that definitively that they're going to win this game. But I think these are the two best teams in the country. But if you're looking at power ratings, Indiana is substantially higher than Oregon on a neutral. And I think this line should be more at 6, which is crazy for an Indiana football team. So I would take Indiana at -3.5. Don't love the hook, but I think Mendoza, Black, Hemby, Surratt, Cooper get enough points to beat them by more than 4.
Yeah, So you laid it out really terribly for me.
Oh, I know I did.
I'll start with this. You have our system that I put together and that I tracked for this was dating back all the way to 2007. So it was teams playing in a rematch of where the record of the losing team is actually 32-29 in the rematch. So it's not like it's this drastical difference. It's really not like it's an auto bet where it's a system is 60%, 55% or something like that. It's really not that great, honestly. Is it still kind of profitable though? I mean, sure, but it doesn't make it a play in this kind of sense. Nonetheless, both of these coaches, like he said, not only Cignetti, both of these coaches are absolute psychopaths. One of them obviously lost the first game in his home stadium, and the other one just wants to do it again, even worse this time. So, and obviously now you get the most fair tail of the tape ever, because now it's on a neutral field. You have all this stuff at stake. There's somehow still people doubting Indiana at this point, which I just don't understand why. And you have Oregon, who is yet to win a national title. And obviously they're trying to make noise with that as well. This could be like game of like the century, game of the decade, game. I don't know. Like, honest to God, like this might be it. My only issue, I'm worried for the Heisman winner. When you have the number 1 overall pick at stake and you look at the last game, he didn't necessarily play the greatest game of his life. He didn't necessarily tear up the defense. And again, this was in Eugene. It's not necessarily taking away from that. He still won the game after all. But 215, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That was actually a pick six. That was a really big swing in that game. I just think that's going to have to improve a lot, personally, in order to get a berth into the Natty. I'm very high on this Oregon team now after I was pretty much out in the middle of the year after this game, because it felt like this Oregon team pretty much fell off a cliff. And we all thought it too. Like, that Wisconsin game came, and then we were like, yeah, this team's like in the gutter. They're dead. They're going to drop either 1 or 2 to USC and Washington. And now they're here. So no one has really, I don't think, taken them to be a serious contender yet, until they pretty much blew the doors off of Texas Tech in that game. And I think they are very much live, energetic underdogs in this matchup. Dan Lanning, I don't know who all saw it, but I watched the pregame speech and I watched like the headbutting. They might do it again this week, honestly, but dude, this is going to be insane. I like this team a lot now. But, I mean, they're third in the country in adjusted net EPA per play, which is actually 1 ahead of Indiana. But, I mean, not only, like, they're now one of the best teams overall. I mean, their defense is the one remaining unit that pretty much has a chance to shut down a Heisman winner. They're 8th in opponent dropback EPA, 9th in opponent dropback success rate. They're 5.3 yards per pass attempt. That's the 3rd lowest in the country from what I'm seeing as well. And I mean, I just think it's going to come down to a really tight-knit game. I mean, they may not end up winning, but I'm going to feel very confident that they give this national scene on Indiana's side a very, very, very big scare. I took Oregon at plus 4.5 earlier this week, like multiple days ago, and I have that at minus 112 on FanDuel. I just think they're winning outright. I think they're going to make the Natty. That's basically where I stand at this point. I don't know what it's going to do, because we've always talked about how Lanning gets too cute in these kind of instances. And he did it in the Texas Tech game too. And like, honestly, at that moment on that fake punt, whatever that was, I thought we were done for, and I thought that was it. And then they just flipped a switch, and Texas Tech obviously couldn't move the ball past the 30-yard line of their own. Here we are. But I don't know. The public perception as well just has me thinking all over the place within the splits, because it is ridiculous with how bad the public got. You're looking at like 70-30s. So, I mean, I'm all over Oregon in this case, personally. I'm going to take them on the money line as well. That's pretty much about it.
One thing I would like to... there's one thing I want to point out when it comes to backing Oregon, and some pause if you're going to back Dante Moore. Dante Moore faced 4 top 50 defenses this year as the starting quarterback for Oregon. He did not have a QBR over 62.3 in those 4 games. He threw for 200 yards in 1 of those 4 games, and his stat line in those 4 games from a touchdown to interception ratio was 1 to 4. 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions in those 4 games. He was also sacked, which, big offensive line thing here, 10 times in those 4 games. So, if you're asking me who I trust more, I trust Mendoza. I know the stat line's not good, but dude's a gamer, and he doesn't make bad decisions. Like, yes, the pick 6 was bad in that game, but you know what he came back and did the next possession? threw a touchdown immediately. Dante Moore in big games, we've seen it this year. We saw it, when he was at UCLA. He cracks really bad sometimes. He makes plays that just don't make sense sometimes. And with this pass rush that he's about to face in Indiana, I don't feel good about it because he got sacked 6 times last time they played. That's not good. It's not good. So
I don't know. It's a preparation difference for me. I just think that they prepare better personally, but I'm very well could be wrong.
they prepare better. They prepare better this week off 7 days rest than off of a bye.
Probably.
They're off a bye for that game.
I'm hoping so. I mean, we had Indiana in the first game. I wasn't mad about the first game at all. But yeah.
You remember what that line was? 7.5.
7. It was in. Now they're
favored. 11 point difference. I know it's home, so it's 8 point difference from October the 11th to January 9th.
On the road to a neutral, yeah. It is insane.
That's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, I think it's going to be a great game. I think grabbing anything over a field goal is the smart way to go if you feel good about Oregon. And one thing we're never going to do is talk each other out of a pick, more than likely. We're usually pretty locked in on these things. I think what we're trying to do... I think
it's only happened like once, and then we both lost.
Yeah. What we're trying to do is just give you guys reasons to look at our sides and what we're talking about. I'm not even on Indiana, but I just feel really confident they're the best team in the country. So we will see. I will be looking for Indiana. I really want this to get down to 3. Really, really bad.
Yeah.
So if I see a flat 3, I will be jumping on Indiana very fast.
I guess that would be my hedge if I did have to, because I mean, I will sprinkle the money line. It's not going to necessarily be like a full-on play, but I mean, usually I do these to like win a unit. So if I dabble on that, then I'll probably come back with something on Indiana just to relieve the pain if I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Now that we have the semis, though, your natty matchup, who do you have? Just to give a look ahead.
Indiana, Miami.
Okay.
Elite, dude. Those defenses going against each other would be so fun.
It would be fun. I think all these matchups are fun. Like either scenario, I think is really good. Personally, I love where we're at. The parity right now is amazing. Personally,
yeah, I think if you're gonna go for ratings, like Oregon, Miami's probably the best one. From a national perspective,
just branding,
everyone would tune in for that. I would totally love Indiana, Ole Miss. I would love Oregon, Ole Miss. I'd love every matchup. I think they're all great.
Yeah. So you're sticking with Indiana. I might see if Oregon wins this game. I think they're winning it. If they don't, I'm going to pick Miami. But maybe that's the biased futures guys probably talking. I don't know. Very much so could be. But
I'm in a great situation. It would help if Oregon won because my edge would be easier, but
that is fair, yeah.
Because either team, or no matter if Oregon or Indiana wins, they'll be favored next week. So
very much so. Nonetheless, with those two, like I said, you guys now have our natty picks. Feel free to either shame us or let us know who you have in the comments, obviously. But it should be a fun close to the season, of course, and then we will have our preview for the natty come up, obviously, before the natty. Now that we're off of that, college basketball time, I would assume. We know, obviously, I had a couple of questions, like just personally DM'd asking to like cover the transfer portal stuff and the coaching stuff. Not in the middle of games going on personally. That's not where I'm at. That's not where we're at as a group, really, of what we agreed to talk about. It's that's going to be mainly saved for off-season stuff, really.
That will be write-ups more than
just because, that too. Just because so much happens in a span of days, hours, if you will. So I mean, and I'm posting on Twitter all the time about stuff that I'm like, hearing, because I know I have people texting me a lot of things, whether it's people I used to work with that are now moved on to other places, which is where I'm getting a lot of my information from right now, actually. But outside of that, yeah, my sources are pretty much people my age who are employed by other universities now. But it's nothing like a freaking donor like some of these other people. So like I said, take my Twitter with a grain of salt right now. But then again, stuff happens. Now, regarding college basketball, tomorrow, I don't know if you guys have looked at this. We're filming this obviously on Monday, January the 5th. Tonight we're going to be previewing games for tomorrow, for just a game. Obviously, there is multitudes of games that are on the slate tomorrow that are just jaw dropping. Like you're foaming out the mouth looking at this board right now. The main one is going to be Duke Louisville, which is what we're about to go over right now. And then, of course, I'm going to have a Substack article out probably tomorrow morning regarding the card, game breakdowns, just an overall like skim over of the board, what we're looking at and what we're looking like. Maybe some stuff that I wanted to get to before I actually put on a bet. And then we'll kind of get to that. But nonetheless, for tomorrow, our first I think this is our first, at least if I'm remembering right, but
yes,
blockbuster ACC Tuesday, I guess you could call it. Louisville gets Duke at home at KFC, and this place should be jumping off of the walls tomorrow. Like probably more than the Kentucky game, if I had to guess, honestly. It is a 7 p.m. tip, and we have a pick pretty much right now. Now, this line was actually, I think it opened Duke -1.5, flipped to Louisville -1.5. Louisville jumped to -2.5, and now we are back as we're recording this at 6:59 p.m. Eastern. Louisville is sitting back at -1.5. Now, there's not necessarily a ton here. We were talking about this before we recorded just because of like what to actually hit on. Pretty much, this game is, it sounds kind of dumb, I'm not going to lie. But this is like Cameron Boozer versus Ryan Conwell, Michael Brown. And that's pretty much like, that's all it is. Louisville likes to share the ball a lot. They're very good at it. The only problem on Duke's side is that they are a practical one-man army with side weapons that they can use and utilize if they need to, but they have significant leaks. They got exposed, and that is why this line is what it is. Honestly, I'm not really surprised about the line, if I had to say. I looked at Torvik. I looked at KenPom. I'm actually logged out of KenPom right now, honestly, so that kind of sucks on my part. I don't know if you have it up or not. Okay. But I know like Torvik had Louisville as high as like 4.7. I don't know if KenPom was close or a little bit off.
Louisville by 1.
Okay. So I thought that 4.7 was a little much personally. Because that's what I had to use today when I was like capping this at work in my office. I was just I had to put something out, but I'm not logged into KenPom at my work, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at right now. Very tight-knit game, very close-knit game. These teams are very much so alike. I'm going to pass it to you. Who do you have?
I think just with it being home court, and look, I think Duke's got to have a bounce-back game, especially after what happened on Saturday. Like, that was just a pitiful performance defensively. Like, it's super cool to watch them offensively. They're one of the most fun teams to watch offensively because, like you said, yes, it is a lot of times just Cameron Boozer. But when they get going in the fast break, when they are sharing the ball and then, ball movement into a Cameron Boozer post-up or a Cameron Boozer ISO or this or that, Jon Scheyer does a really good job of isolating Boozer, but not doing it in very boring ways or doing it in very repetitive ways. They find really good ways to do it. When you look at Louisville, like you said, they share the ball really well. Like, yes, Michael Brown, best player on the team, 5-star, going to go top 10 in the draft, probably higher. Obviously, he's your go-to guy, especially down the stretch. But like they've got shooters on this team. They've got good rebounders. Like this team is really well put together, which is credit to that coaching staff and credit to their recruiting because I mean they turned Louisville around overnight.
Fast,
so for a Duke Louisville game, like 10 years ago, this is a normal line, right? Like 3 years ago, Duke's favored by 20. So that's super cool. I think Louisville's the play, especially, I mean, you're getting, right now, FanDuel is giving it minus 0.5. Bunny line is minus 110. Like, you're not buying any juice. There's nothing there. I think with home court, that's something that I would look into. I'm honestly, with how Duke's defense looked, and Louisville's defense isn't great, and they both are top 25 in average possession length, so they're going to run up and down the court. I'm interested in an over. I think, 161, I know that's high. Like, that's both teams got to get in the 80s probably. But, you're looking at 4 possessions a minute. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of possessions, especially when you get into fouls and bonuses. And both these teams, well, Louisville top 30 in free throw percentage, and Duke's not great, but still, I think I'll play an over. It's already kind of juiced to the over. It's minus 115 at 161.5. You're looking at minus 110 at 162.5. So I may play at 161.5. I would say over in Louisville.
Yeah, I think it should be a decently high pace just because I'm looking at like last games and previous games and whatnot, obviously. Duke is coming off a pretty much really scary turnout when they played Florida State, where they should have easily probably covered that game. And Louisville is coming off of a loss across the country at Stanford. And ultimately, they only put up 76 points. So now that you have a total that is in the 160s range, if you wanted to lean towards like a Louisville team total, if you're looking for a side, it might be a safer option to some people if you wanted to, that is. Nonetheless, yeah, I took Louisville at the pick at minus 110 as well on FanDuel earlier this afternoon. I was trying to find splits if I could, but they were heavy on Duke. And like crazy amounts of heavy. I was trying to go to VSiN splits actually, just to even get an idea to show. But while I'm doing that, I can look basically. The one thing I would be worried about, Duke averages 41.4 defensive rebounds per game, and Louisville is only sitting at 29. Now, Louisville still rebounds fairly well as far as a size advantage. Just because I'm not on KenPom, I don't honestly know how big it is, how big the disadvantage is for one side or the other. But strictly looking off of a number, basically, I've always said this: you win the rebounding battle, you just win the game, because that's the game of basketball. You're going to need your second chances in this game. Personally, if you're Louisville, you're really going to have to get up there, and ultimately, just limit the turnovers. Which they have really. Their turnover margin isn't necessarily great, but if you just, like I said, if they're averaging 18 assists per game, they're very much so alike in terms of turnover margin. It's just whoever limits those, obviously. That sounds really cliche to say, but that's really what it boils down to. In a game, in a line like this, that's pretty much all that it boils down to in that kind of case. So ultimately, I'm taking the short line. I would pretty much bet anything on Louisville at this point, just because I love the spot. I absolutely love spots like these in college basketball. And yeah, I'm hoping for absolute fireworks tomorrow. And so, yeah.
Some of these lines are very interesting. Now that I'm actually looking at them.
Looking at the handle now, Duke is getting 93% of the handle and 89% of the tickets. That is at DraftKings currently. And then if you go to Circa for tomorrow as well, They actually don't have anything up and available. So yeah, just DraftKings, but 93 and 96 or whatever I said, there's your answer. So, and you still have the line that is favored and the team that is getting the opposite side of that money. And yeah, so I'm very happy about where we're at right now, personally, in terms of the public perception in a way, which is something I'll hit on tomorrow in our Substack article that we have coming out. And yeah, we'll pretty much go from there. And like I said, we'll do more of these college basketball previews, but because we just have so many games, and I know that we're pretty obviously deep into the episode now, but like I said, going forward, once we're out of the college basketball season, we'll be going over multitudes of these. I will say it is harder to do college basketball games on a podcast because we're getting a very, very early number on these, so there's not a whole lot of information to get. I'm honestly trying to see if the guys are up to doing something as like a stream or something shortly before games, maybe at some days. Like normal times where we would record a podcast, we can just do a stream instead of just going down through college basketball games on tip-off game days. That's very, I don't want to say it's down the road, but it's just something to obviously to talk about and discuss as an alternative, because going over a game over 24 hours until tip-off is not easy because there's not a whole lot of information that's really relayed to it. Nonetheless, if we have bets on it and stuff like that already, then at that point, obviously, we can kind of break it down if we want. But that's pretty much the gist of it for now.
Take Texas.
No.
Why not?
No.
Why?
No. Why? No, I'm all over you. I'm all over UT tomorrow. The other UT, sorry.
Pass.
I actually really like Tennessee tomorrow.
I'd like Texas under team total, probably. Interesting game.
There's so many good games. I mean, TCU Kansas is really good. I mean, Houston, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, UCF, Minnesota, Iowa, Georgia, Florida.
San Diego State, Nevada. Don't you dare forget about my Mountain West
sleepers, dude. Okay, I'm not forgetting about them. Trust me, because like that's probably my favorite conference to bet on, if I'm being completely honest. Like Colorado State, New Mexico, banger. Absolute bangers everywhere. Look at these lines. They're all pretty much at a pick, except for the Air Force Utah State.
Vandy's on Wednesday.
Like, you're not going to find a conference that's just like that. Like, that's elite. That's elite play. And obviously, don't forget about like our overs tonight that we have in like Arc Pine Bluff and Southern.
Why are you talking about my overs like that?
No, I'm talking about my overs. Did you play those?
Yeah, I did. I played Arc Pine Bluff. I didn't see that you had that.
Yeah, I literally added it like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, I added it like an hour ago. That's funny. I didn't see it.
I literally posted it to the Substack and I put it in the Discord.
Yeah, sorry, dude. I was grinding Jack Ryan tape.
I mean, it's pretty valid, honestly.
The show.
It's pretty valid.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're looking in those games, but nonetheless,
Nebraska up 8.
Not even halftime yet.
Circle the wagons.
We have time.
Who's we? Time. Nebraska. We are Penn State, but Nebraska too.
Okay, I was gonna say it's not even their saying. Yeah. There's your first college basketball sneak peek / episode, whatever. But
also, if you have an iPhone, I really recommend the Apple Sports. Not trying to show anything on here, but they give you the ability to just add it to your phone and it live updates for you. So I can always see what my bets are doing.
That is pretty true. Action does something like that though. Like
yeah, but it's really slow and
it's
lags.
Very slow. Yeah.
Like Apple Sports is second by second. Like
it's like real. It's almost better than real.
It's ahead of TV broadcasts most of the time. I have to turn it off if I'm watching the game because it's faster.
All I know is that ESPN's app sucks.
Yes. Name something good about ESPN. Go.
Scott
Van Pelt's cool.
Sports Center was great in the early 2000s.
There you
Died.
Go.
There's your nice thing. Yeah. That's about it. That's about all we got for today. I don't really know if we will be back Thursday or Friday, honestly, just because of the games that are coming on. We might just leave it at this and do the once a week thing until college football season kind of ends. And then if we need to, we can do 2 episodes for college basketball, but that's pending schedules, obviously. We're trying to make sure this is a very busy time of the year for everybody. So obviously we're trying to make sure that we're staying true to our actual lives still on the side of actually doing this.
No.
I mean, all it takes is the right person, you know? So, I mean, if you're like the CEO of a company and you like what you're hearing, you know, I mean, just we're a DM away. It's all right. Nonetheless, that's all we got for today. Appreciate you guys hanging around. Like I said before, be sure to just leave us a 5-star review. Leave us a comment. Who you got in the Natty this week? Be sure to look out for the Substacks tomorrow and subscribe to that just to be notified whenever we go and post there. Follow the action so you get every bet that we place, and follow our social medias. Everything's going to be in our descriptions. Everything's there. You just got to click your links, click around, find around, whatever. If you're old, get your son, get your daughter to do it. You'll be set. Other than that, you have a good night. Best of luck with your bets, and then we will see you sometime next week. Peace.